um, okay, so this presentation is about peak performance state, and the stats are out. 7 out of 10 deaths nowadays are lifestyle related. 7 out of 10. But back in the day it was the flu, etc. And now it's lifestyle, and that basically means two words: diet and exercise. Diet and exercise. So what I wanted to do was basically ask, if people wanted more vitality, if you want to get more energy, right? If you want to lose some weight, how is it that you want to feel with your life? How do you want to function in your life? And that's basically what I'm going to explain through my story is how I managed to get over some of my demons and find, I don't know if I'm peak performance, but I certainly feel fantastic for a guy of my age. And so there's no point in me, I'll hand these out. I'm just going to say this. I forgot we were recording there, so you'll have to, have you got an editing program?
I'm sure I do.
Right, I've got one if you don't. Alright, so I've got a picture here of me, a little bit of transformation. I don't know if that screen sees that, yeah. A little bit of transformational process of me through the last couple of decades, and I didn't really hand that out to impress you. It's more to impress upon you that this transformation is possible for everybody. If I can, you can. So the elements to a peak performance state basically are there's 8 of them, I would suggest, and they are exercise, nutrition or diet, positive mental attitude, sleep, meditation and yoga, posture, mental preparation, and dress. So we're gonna just have a quick look through that. So just to get on a little bit with my story, I was fat. I was seriously burnt in my early 30s. I had a dreadful accident which left me with burns to 35%, of third-degree burns to 35% of my body. That incapacitated me very badly, and I had what's called an NDE, or a near-death experience. In the near-death experience, I saw my body for what it was outside of my body. And I was given a choice as to whether to come back to my body or to move to another sphere, another realm. And I looked at my body and I knew that there was going to be a lot of pain and a lot of adjustment and some serious work, because it was a mess, quite honestly. But I chose to come back to my body. And sure enough, there was a lot of pain. I had 17 operations in the next 2 years to just get me functioning. 17, a lot of skin grafting. Skin grafting was horrendous back then. Fiona Woods was only just starting her skin development then, and they had to take the skin and grow it. So they took the skin from with a thing that looked like a cheese grater, and they took it across my thigh. As soon as it grew in again, they would take it off again, and then grow it, put it in a petri dish, and then put it on somewhere that I needed the skin. So the actual operations and the procedures were, it's difficult for me to describe the amount of pain that was involved in that. It's there is nothing to describe it. My life was a world of pain, and it was like that for many years afterwards. And so, but I'd also gone through a spiritual journey that I didn't know how to deal with, because prior to that I'd been an atheist. My schooling was done with the Christian Brothers, and they had kind of knocked any kind of spirituality out of me that could have been present. And so I was very anti any God thing, I was very atheist, but then I'd been presented with this NDE, and I knew that I had to deal with this, and it was really challenging. To cut a long story short, is I couldn't deal with it. That was it. I couldn't deal with the pain, and I couldn't deal with the mindset. I actually couldn't deal with the situation that I'd chosen to come back to. So I'd actually made this choice and I just didn't know how to deal with it. So I lived my day, and they say live your life day to day, but the day was hell. So every day that came around was just another living hell. So that didn't work. Right? I just wanted to die pretty much, and so I went on a path of self-destruction with the aim of not really caring whether I lived or died, because as far as I was concerned, it was just not good. And so fortunately I had a really supportive wife who helped. Otherwise I'm sure I would be dead. I think I would have taken my own life, to be honest. And we had a family, and so then that gave me some hope for the future. Having my son and my daughter gave me some sort of reason to live, I guess. But it didn't take the pain away as such, and so I hit the bottle big time. But I was doing everything. I was doing drugs, alcohol, food, work, you name it. Anything that could take me out of the present moment was good for me. And so I actually built up quite a successful business. And in the back of my mind was that, I can build up a successful business. I'll die then with lots of money in the bank. And then my wife and kids can find another man. She's young, and I'll be dead, and the kids won't remember me anyway. But then I got into my early 40s after this period of self-sabotage and self-destruction for about 10 years. It took me about 9 or 10 years that I went through this stage of my life. And then I really realized that this was a really selfish way for me to think. And so I decided to change. And I realized that my whole paradigm was one of self-pity and feeling sorry for myself. And I never really liked people that felt sorry for themselves, but I realized that that's exactly what I was doing. And what was and what is was what I had to deal with. Either that or just carry on drinking and die. So I made the choice to change. And that was when I was in that first picture of me at 42. That was pretty much the end of my journey of self-destruction. And there's a gentleman that's sitting beside me there, which I've taken out, but he's actually dead now, because he carried on the same path as we were on together. We're very close friends. And he's dead now, which is sad. But anyway, he died at 52, and as you can see, I was starting to do triathlons at 52. So it wasn't an easy journey, and it took me quite some time to come to terms with what I had to do. But I picked at it. They say, how to eat an elephant is one bite at a time, and so that's actually what I did. And I tackled each demon that I had one step at a time. So I stopped drinking, I stopped smoking, I stopped doing business. I basically changed. And I got very much involved in triathlon, and triathlon was a huge savior for me. Triathlon allowed me to express my obsessive compulsion disorder, and in a positive way. So I was then I got actually okay at it. I raced for Australia a couple of times, and in my age group, which I'm very proud of, and changed my life. And so I am now a personal transformation therapist and a yoga teacher, and I now realize that sometimes the things that we might label good actually turn out to be bad, and some of the things that we label bad turn out to be good. And so we want to be very mindful about the labels that we use when we're going through life's experiences, because I believe that everything is there for us to learn and grow from. And certainly the fire and the accident and the self-destruction was there for me to learn from. And so I wouldn't be able to do what I do now if it wasn't for those experiences I had then. And I would suggest that's the same for everybody. So you wouldn't be able to do what you do now unless you'd experienced what you did then. And so, but so in other words, it wasn't bad. It was just something that happened. It was just a situation that occurred that we grow and learn from. And certainly now I'm in this beautiful position to be able to use those experiences and help people out of dark spaces that they may find themselves in. And so that's really what the talk was about: is how do you do that? How do you do that? And at the start of the presentation, I kind of expressed a number of points that I wanted to discuss and keep it nice and short. The 8 elements to what we call the peak performance state, and exercise is obviously paramount. So we're designed to move. People are designed to move. Unfortunately, they don't. They sit around and get depressed, and people do get depressed if they don't move. It's just something that happens. The body is designed to move. Whatever form of exercise you do, that's fine, but as long as you're doing something. The next one is nutrition, and we're outside here in Organic at Charles, beautiful organic food shop, and if you can buy organics. So that's why we're doing the presentation here, because obviously the people that have the shop are very involved in nutrition, and you need to eat properly. If I had a really nice car, Ferrari or whatever, I wouldn't put diesel in it. I just wouldn't do that. I was just like, so the car cost me how much is your body worth? It's much more than $500,000. You cannot put money on that, right? So the greatest gift that we've ever been given is this physical form that we move around in. And it won't last forever, so we might as well look after it. And the older we get, if I've got an old car, do I need to look after it more or less? If I've got a brand new car, it doesn't need to be looked after. A 25-year-old, that's fine. But as we get older, we need to look after ourselves more, not less. And that means doing more exercise. It means being more conscious of the stuff that we put in our body, being mindful of how we use our mind. So a positive mental attitude, of course, is paramount. We must be positive in our outlook, regardless of the situations that present themselves to us. And that's not easy. It's not easy for people to be positive when they're having a hard time. Can't pay the mortgage, kids are playing up, crystal meth child, which I went through that. How are you positive with that? So, but it's necessary for us to be that way. Sleep is huge. A lot of people don't get enough sleep nowadays. Sleep is we really need to sleep. Meditation and yoga. I'm a yoga teacher, as you know. Posture, mental preparation, and dress. So basically, top 10 reasons to exercise are: feel more energized, burn more calories at rest, improve overall appearance, be able to withstand stresses, decrease the risk of illness, speed up recovery from injury and surgery, keep focused, build up cardiovascular endurance, improve flexibility, and increase lean muscle mass. Does anybody not want that? If there was one pill that we could give people and it did all of that, how much money would they make? The drug companies would be onto it like a shot. In fact, they're probably trying to right now. If we could give somebody a pill that did all of those 10 reasons, how much would we sell? It'd be better than Viagra. It would work better. It would sell more than Viagra. Or statins. But statin, by the way, is the biggest selling drug that's ever been. $18 billion per year turnover in statin. No wonder they're prescribing it to every man on the street. And at one stage, the Americans would actually introduce it into their water. True story. Statins in the water. Positive mental attitude. Well, I'm sure we've all PMA, positive mental attitude. How do we do that? It's a guy by the name of Zig Ziglar, who was a motivational speaker who's dead now, but it was a mentor of mine for a while. He used to say that motivation and positive mental attitude is like showering. You need to do it every day. You can't just expect to read a book and then that's it. now I'm positive. You need to practice it. You need to practice being positive. You need to practice keeping your spirits up when things are down. This is not an easy task, and it needs to be practiced. So believing in yourself, getting the job done, and there's three things that I like to think of that, as far as getting the work done, is firstly, turn up, show up. Show up to whatever it is, whether it's yoga, whether it's exercise, whether it's your work, but then put your mind into it when you're there. Do what you showed up to do. Do it. And then the last one is do that consistently. This is not rocket science. And everybody does this all the time with their work. If you think about, well, they show up to work. They may not put their mind into it, and that's probably why they stick in a rut, because they don't put their head into it. But they do it consistently, so they keep their job. Imagine if we didn't do it consistently, we didn't show up. We didn't put our head into it, and we did that inconsistently. We didn't show up, where we just came whenever we want. How long would we hold our job down for? We wouldn't hold our job, but that's the same with everything. And so those three things, you just go through them, and you get results. Being determined, be determined to get the job done, be determined to see things through. Don't let self-doubt get in your way, just be determined to get through. You will get through this, and I like to say to people, we survive until we die. So you're going to survive this, you're going to get through it, because you've got two options, survival or death. And we do survive until we die, that's what people do, that's the nature of it. I have a winner's mindset. What's that? Well, it's not so much that you have to win at things and let the ego take over. It's just that so that you have to be in a positive frame set that you can succeed is probably a better way of putting it than winning. Succeed and help others. And the other one I put in: don't believe your own pathetic "I can't" stories. Well, you can do whatever you want. You really can. You really can do whatever you want. It's entirely up to the choices, are yours. And I deal with a lot of people, men particularly in their early 40s. That's one of my genre, because men go through this transition at that time. Male menopause, call it what you like. And they go through this period. And a lot of them are caught in a rut. And what's the difference between a rut and a grave? Right, the grave's got ends. That's it. Right, the rut doesn't have ends. So this is the only difference. And they're caught in this, and you know what they say to me? I don't have a choice. But if I said to them, I said, okay, all right, so you lose your legs in a car accident and you can't do your job anymore. You've just been given a choice. It's not a good one, but you have to adjust. So there's always a choice. And I was in that situation myself where I was, there's no choice. I don't have a choice. I have to do this. Well, if somebody had told me that I would be a yoga teacher in my early 60s, I would have laughed at them. I was like, you're kidding. Don't be daft. Somebody had said that when I was 30, that I was going to be teaching people yoga at 63. It just wouldn't have. I would have been laughing. So there's always choices. In fact, that's what life is choices. It's a choice. We make a choice to come here. We make a choice to have a coffee. We make a choice to go to work. We make a choice. It's always a choice. And so if you're in a dead-end job or something that you can't see the end of, then make a choice not to. That's it. And it's one of the guys that springs to mind. He was in a big fat guy. He had a hateful job. Hated his boss. Got good money though. He was on a couple of $100,000, which is, it's on a couple of $100,000 a year, and plenty, went on holidays, five bedroom house and BM, all the stuff, like I did, and hated his life. And I said to him, what would it be like if you just quit your job? And this was completely incomprehensible to him. Guess what happened? He got fired. He got fired. So in other words, God or the universe made the choice for him. And I've found that that's the case. Either you make a choice or somebody will make a choice for you. So be proactive with it. He got fired. Anyway, now he's got his own consultancy business. He doesn't make so much money, but he's happy. That's Big Steve I'm talking about. And which would you rather? So he always had that choice though. He just couldn't see it. He couldn't see it. So he laughed at me when I said fired. So he fired, and so the choice was made for him. So don't believe your I can't stories. Be the very best you can be with everybody that you meet. I've learned that life is actually about helping others, and it took me a long time to learn that. I thought it was about helping me. It's about helping others. True happiness is being able to help people get out of, move forward in their lives. There is the job that I do. There is nothing so rewarding as having somebody come to me and say, "You changed my life," and I just, it's worth more than money. Don't get me wrong. I like money, by the way. I'm not saying that I don't. I like people paying me. Right, so I do like money. Right, so I'm Scottish after all. So sleep. Why should we sleep, do you think? Have you ever thought about it? Why do you sleep? Ever thought of that? Recharge? Nobody really knows. Did you know that? The physiologists don't actually really know or understand sleep. Sleep is not really fully understood yet. But there's a lot of things that people say, oh, we recharge. Well, why? What's going on? I think there's a lot of connection to God in sleeping. There's a lot to sleeping, as far as the subconscious mind is concerned. But anyway, regardless of why we do or why we don't, the sleep is paramount. And so many people don't sleep. You know, one of the reasons they don't sleep? They don't have a good diet and they don't exercise. That's why they don't do yoga. They don't do exercise and they eat shit. And I wonder why they don't sleep. And then that exacerbates the problem. So they do more of the same thing to try and alleviate the problem of not sleeping. So sleep fights weight gain, sleep improves decision-making abilities, sleep decreases anxiety, sleep refreshes your immune system, sleep stabilizes blood sugar, sleep lowers risk of disease. And people go, oh, I can get by with 5 hours of sleep a night. No, you can't. No, you can't. What? Very few people. There's one in a blue moon you can. Most people need 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Our physiologies are pretty much the same. Everything. I've got a fast metabolism. No, you don't. Right? You don't. I'm sorry. I've got a client at the moment. He drinks too much wine. And he works as well, he's on call. And he goes, yeah, but I've got a fast metabolism. I metabolize the wine very quickly. Okay. Alright, so generally people are quite similar, and most of us need 7 to 8 hours sleep a night. So if there's one thing that you can do for yourself is get sleep. Get sleep. Yoga. Well, we've got some yogis here, haven't we? What do you say? What's that for? I've got it here, and yours is wrong. I told your production manager. All right, okay. Yoga, well, what does it do? Increases the feelings of wellness, positive attitude, increases energy levels, increases memory retention and attention, improves concentration, improves social skills, grows self-acceptance, flexibility and strength, of course, from the physical, reduces anxiety, depression and tension, reduces cravings and sugar and cholesterol levels, hypertension, reduces weight, and blood pressure. Blood pressure is huge with yoga, so it's very good for the heart. So I would strongly advise that you do yoga. Posture. Posture is one of those things that, posture is paramount, and you can change a person's life just by getting them to stand up properly. And I've done it. I had a lady one time, and she had massive. She was older, but she had titties that were like here. Like she had massive boobs, huge, but she hated them. Right, she hated it. Right? I always did her whole life. She was always very self-conscious of that particular aspect of herself, and so she lived her life like this, trying to cover up what. But she wasn't just covering up her boobs; she was covering up herself. So she was covering up her whole self. And I used to. She was older. She was about my age, and I used to. It was Anne I'm talking about. And I used to take her. I used to take her for walks. Our personal training sessions were lovely because we'd go for a walk around the park. It's an easy way of making money if you can get a gig, you know. And so then I would just tell her to open up, and there's nobody looking at you, darling. You're 63 years old. We're like invisible when we get to this age, and so why, who cares? And so eventually, and I did a lot of work in her traps, and I got her shoulders back, and I got her to stand up straight, and it changed her life. It completely changed her life. And if you think about a football side that are a bit down, what is their attitude like? They're looking at the ground. And what's the coach saying? Get your chins up, look up, come on. That's what they're saying. That's what the coach is saying. He's not saying run harder, kick the ball further, right? Do a better pass. He's not saying that. He's saying get your chin up, come on. It's not finished yet. Stand up tall. So posture is paramount, and what does yoga do? Yoga and exercise will increase your ability to stand up straight. Try it. Try walking about with your head looking at the ground for 10 minutes. You'll be depressed. Right, stand up, look the world right in the eye, and you will feel fantastic. Look people in the eye, look the world in the eye, and your posture will improve, and your whole attitude and demeanor will improve with it. Posture, it gives you you've seen it all the time, people with good posture, more confidence. Breathing is easier, right, and that, of course, well, if you can breathe easier, of course, makes you look slimmer and younger. Oh, I'm going to do it then. Right, if I don't look fat anymore, I'm doing that. Your voice will sound better because it's opening up here, and I'm not going to get involved in chakras, and that might be a bit weird and whack for the video, but it opens up the posture and opens up the chakras, open up the heart chakra, mind. All of the chakras are aided by. If we talk about meditation, I'm actually getting there now, aren't I? Right, we ask the student to sit tall. Why do we do that? Well, it's so that the spine is nice and your breathing is easy and the chakras are in line. Helps your muscles and joints, changes your frame of mind, which I've talked about, and it keeps your spine healthy. So if that's not enough reasons to stand tall, then I don't know what is. The other thing that I wanted to quickly touch on is mental preparation, or how to actually, and in yoga we do the sankalpa, but positive affirmations, positive self-talk. You know that demon inside the head that goes, and I still fight this demon all the time. You're not good enough, right? You should be better, right? You're ugly, right? Look at yourself, right? You're a disgrace, right? If I was to talk to, and I'm much better now than I used to be, but the way I used to talk to myself, if I had to talk to any of my friends like I used to talk to myself, I wouldn't have had any friends. There's no way that people would have stuck around and me telling them that they were shitheads. You're a dickhead. And so what I like to advise people is that, sure, we've all got behaviours that we want to change, right? Everybody has that. We're human beings and we're not perfect, and that we wouldn't like ourselves. We wouldn't like other people that were perfect anyway. So what I say to people is that treat yourself like a 7-year-old child. So you would never call a 7-year-old child an idiot, you fool, you dickhead, you wouldn't say that. You would say, look, I love you, perhaps if you were to behave in this way, rather than that way. So in other words, we're not actually criticising the essence of the person, we're not even criticising them, we're just trying to change some behaviours that perhaps don't sit well. That's what to do with ourselves. Treat yourself like a 7-year-old child with love and compassion, and try and change some, I don't like that behaviour about myself, so let's try and change it. And don't be sort of down on yourself because you didn't change it straight away. It might take some time. took me about 3 years to stop drinking alcohol, or maybe even more actually. I think it was about, I don't know, maybe it was more, it was about 10. So it was about 10. Right, so encourage yourself with powerful, encouraging and inspirational talk. Rather than saying that, why not say, look, I'm really good at looking after my family. I'm really good at that. My family love me so much because I look after them so well. And it's not an egotistical thing, it's truthful. People love you, don't they? So why can't you love yourself? And that's so powerful. The ability to be able to love ourselves is so important. Love yourself, and then you've got as much love as you want to give out to other people. So love yourself. Yeah, that's really about it. I was going to touch on dress a little bit as well, but it's perhaps not so important in this presentation. But make yourself look presentable. You know, if you want to, you know, peak performance state, people do judge by the first impressions. I'm sorry to say, but people do judge a book by its cover. It would be, people don't judge a book by its cover. Yes, they do. They do. Right, and if they pick up a boring cover like this one, this is actually my book, but people do judge a book by its cover. So present yourself in a presentable way. And if you do all of these things, which you probably won't, then your life will change for the better, and perhaps you'll be able to get what you want out of life. Thank you.